This is the second part of our lesson. It has to do with phrase structure, how we analyze a phrase structure. Let's remember that we talked that syntax examines how words are combined to form larger grammatical units, such as phrases, clauses, and sentences. This is what we are going to analyze in this presentation, the basic rules and principles that enable speakers to recognize and produce syntactical structures. We are going to deal with these rules and how we can analyze a phrase structure. Okay, so first of all, let's think what the syntax rules do. It combines words into phrases and phrases into sentences. And they determine the word order for a language, which the word order for a language is. For example, in English, we know that it is SVO language. It's a subject, verb, object language. So when we read the sentence, the president nominated a new Supreme Court justice, we know that this sentence is grammatically correct. And whereas when we read president, the Supreme New Justice Court nominated, we know that this is a wrong or ungrammatical sentence. That is due to our linguistic competence of the language, that we can determine, we just listen and know that this sentence is not correct. So the idea here is that words are combined into phrases and phrases are combined into clauses and clauses into sentences. So we're going to analyze sentences in terms of their clauses and then the clauses into their phrases until the word. So different levels of organization and how they are combined. This is what syntax studies. Another idea is that syntax rules describe the relationship between the meaning of a particular word of words and the arrangement of those words. So here, even though we have the same words, they convey different meaning. I mean what I say what I mean. So they describe this relationship and they are analyzed in terms of that relationship. They also specify the grammatical relations of a sentence. For example, the grammatical as regards the subject and the direct object. So your dog chased my cat. So your dog in this case is a subject, my cat is an object. But so they provide information about who is doing what to whom. In this case, we have my cat chased your dog, and the relationship described here what the subject is and what the object is. Okay. They determine how words are hierarchically arranged with respect to one another. That is the structural ambiguity. So the captain ordered all men and women off the sinking ship. So in this case, all men and women can be grouped into waves. We can say old men and women, separated like all men one part, women on the other part, but we can say old men and women, so they can be grouped into verbs. They also study this structural ambiguity that we are going to deal with later. Okay, and how we can study, organize, or classify words. So we can think in terms of syntactic categories. So we know that words in all human languages can be grouped together into a relatively small number of classes. So this classification reflects a variety of factors. So we're going to analyze these factors according to the type of meaning that words express, the type of affixes or inflections that they take, and the type of structures of distribution in which they can occur. So here we have different lexical categories. So we have a noun, verb, adjectives, prepositions, and adverbs. And then we have non-lexical categories. We have determiners, these and these. Degree words, we're going to call them degree words, like to, so, very, more, quite. Qualifiers, always, perhaps, often, never, almost. Auxiliary, will, can, may, and conjunctions, and, or, but. So please remember these categorizations because these are the ones that we're going to use. Okay, so take notes of it and make a chart on your own. Okay, so according to the type of meaning, they refer the traditional semantic notion of the word classes. So we have nouns, verbs, designate actions, adjectives, designated property or attribute entities, adverbs, denote properties and attributes of the actions. Okay? So this is what you already know from Grammar 1. That's why I said please take Grammar 1 into account again. Then we have the type of affixes or the inflections. So they refer to the morphological properties of a word, such as the plural and possessive forms of a noun, for example. So we have the inflection of nouns, plural, possessive, past tense, verbs, adjectives, comparative, superlatives. Those are the lexical categories and their inflectional affixes. And then we have, according to their type of structures, their distribution. So the distribution of a word depends on its syntactic properties, such as its potential positions and functions within a phrase, a clause, or a sentence. It involves the type of elements, especially functional categories, with which it can occur, that is to say, the distribution. So, for example, we have nouns can typically appear with a determiner. Okay, a car, the wheat. Verbs with an auxiliary, may go, will stay. Adjectives with a degree word, like very rich, too big. Okay, so that is the distribution, and it's very useful when you analyze a sentence to have this in mind. So here in Becker we have very good chart. Yes, in which we have the syntactic category, the meaning, quality, the inflection. Yes, have a look at the nouns, the verbs, adjectives, and the distribution. So a noun can occur as a subject or object, may follow a determiner, may be modified by an adjective. So the same with verbs. Okay, usually follows a subject, may precede an object, combines with auxiliary, may be modified by an adverb. Okay, so this is a very good chart, to have at hand. And this is like a summary of Grammar 1, so for you to revise, to read, okay, what an object is, what a predicate is, the object, the complement, okay, because we're going to analyze a sentence, so read this, revise, yes, when you have a good different examples of complements, and what adverbials are, okay, so it's when it is an adverbial clause. Here again, yes, you have different types of sentences, okay, interrogative, imperatives. This is just to review a bit. I'm not going to do this now, you have to do it by yourself. Okay, now we're coming here with a phrase structure. How we're going to analyze a phrase structure, and this is what you have to do in this lesson, basically. So, remember that all these ideas are based on Chomsky's generative grammar, generative approach. Okay, so what he decided to do, was to think of a way and of analyzing every single sentence, every single phrase structure in any language. Okay, that it can be applied to any language. So he coined the XP rule, and this is what we are going to do now onwards with the phrases and then the sentences. So the XP rule is the structure of all phrases. The X stands for nouns, for verbs, for adjectives, prepositions, adverbs, and P refers to the phrase. Okay? Well, let's see if you can understand this. So we have the XP rule, and the XP rule consists of a specifier, a head, and a complement. The head is an obligatory element. Remember that we said that it can be a noun, a verb, an adverb, preposition. Okay? The specifier is optional. Okay? It always precedes the head. And the complement is also optional. That's why it's between brackets. And it's also optional. So have a look at these examples. We have a book about poetry. We said that the head is an obligatory element. So the head, the X in this case, is book. Alright? So on the left we have the specifier, which is a determiner, indefinite article in this case. And then after after the following the head, we have the complement, which is about poetry, which is a prepositional phrase, and it is the complement. So we have, if we analyze it, we have poetry is a noun, about is a prepositional phrase, and a book is a noun, and a is a determiner indefinite article. So here at phrase level, this is word level, right? At phrase level, we have a prepositional phrase about poetry, okay, and an indefinite article, it is a noun phrase. And this prepositional phrase is embedded in this noun phrase, and it makes a noun phrase. Okay, and so have a look at the head. Coming back again to this notion, phrases are built around a skeleton, yes, consisting of 2 levels, as depicted below. The symbol P in the top level stands for phrase. So we have a word level, as I said before, a word level, yes, in which we have determinate noun phrase, okay, and then we have a phrase level, noun phrase, verb phrase, adjective phrase, prepositional phrase. So we have the head here, he likes books, yes, books, noun phrase, all animals eat, okay, verb phrase, in which only the head position is filled. Very good. Okay, have a look at this case. We have the young linguist. This is another structure of a noun phrase. The young linguist, the traditional linguist, the generative, a green frog. So we have a specifier and a head. Okay? Okay, so let's see this part. Some examples, all right? So we have the mother of James Whistler. Okay, we identify of James Whistler is the prepositional phrase. It's the complement of the noun. Complement. Mother is the head, and the is the specifier. Okay, and James Whistler is embedded in the noun phrase, and it constitutes a noun phrase. So have a look at this adjective phrase. We have extremely happy. So extremely is an adverb, happy is an adjective, and it is an adjective phrase. So extremely is a specifier, and happy is the head. Can speak English. We have English is a noun, speak a verb, can an auxiliary. So English is a noun phrase, can speak is a verb phrase, and the noun phrase is embedded in the verb phrase. So can is a specifier, speak is the head, complement is English. All right. Have a look at this prepositional phrase, just over the hill. So over is the head, the hill is a noun phrase, it's a prepositional phrase, and just is a specifier. Specifier, the head, and the complement. Okay. So to capture the generalization that the phrasal category has the same internal structure, we substitute x in place of a noun, verb, a preposition, and adverbs and adjectives, and we get the following three: the specifier of x the head, and the complement of x. Okay. So now what you have to do is to find different phrases, okay, and analyze them in the forum. Okay, the same way I just did. So this is all, and this is the bibliography. You have all the bibliography in your in the platform. Okay, so any question you have, let's be in touch.